Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Begin the meeting with a moment of silence, and as has been our practice lately, we'll keep in mind the brave and suffering people of the Ukraine. Also, I'd like to mention the passing on March 17th, actually, of Joe Gilder. He's a former auxiliary policeman in the late 70s, and he was also the Whitman Police Department's mechanic until his late 80s. I'd like you to remember him and his family as you take the moment of silence as well. I'd like to announce the meeting's being recorded and televised by WHCA. I'd like a motion to approve bill and payroll warrants.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'd like a motion also to accept correspondence in the read file.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public forum, if there's anyone here who wants to speak on something that's not on the agenda, now is the time to do that. New business. Vote to approve the issuance and details of note and bonds to be issued to the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust for loan number CWP 2117 and sign related closing documents. And I turn it over now to Mary Beth. Tell us, want to walk us through what we're doing?
Thank you. What you have in front of you are the closing documents for the sewer force main
This is
project.
what I have in front of us, and I'll be passing them around.
You'll have the note. There's 3 copies of the closing certificate and 3 copies of the selectmen's vote. Once you sign those, I'll be able to get those signed and sealed by the town clerk and returned for a closing date of the sewer force main project. The interim loan is at 0%. That will close to a permanent loan at 2%. It's a 20-year note. It is level debt. And the amount that we have you signing the documents for will be $12,898,480 for the sewer force main project.
Okay?
Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
And
Need a motion?
some of these, some of these, all of us sign, and some of these, only Brian signs, if I understand correctly.
That is correct. The selectmen's vote is signed by the clerk
Right.
of the Board of Selectmen. And the note and the certificate are signed by all selectmen.
Do you want to explain how this is being paid?
Yeah. If I could, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
So, a few things. Since your last meeting, we continue to, knock on wood, we continue to get great news on the sewer force main project. So in addition to the hoped-for $500,000 to $1 million in savings that we hope for in a difference in drilling through a section of the project in Brockton. And in addition, because the low bid, the lowest responsible and responsive bid, was lower than what we had originally expected, one great new piece of information is that in March, we learned from the state revolving fund, through which the town is taking this now currently zero interest loan, interim loan, that through the American Rescue Plan Act, American Rescue and Recovery Plan Act, that the town of Whitman will be receiving another $1.945 million in loan forgiveness. It's only loan forgiveness after the after we take out the loan, right? So we don't get that loan forgiveness except for accepting this loan tonight. But certainly that is a huge, huge thing and really an amazing coup for the town to be able to get that almost additional $2 million in loan forgiveness that will not be on the ratepayers. In addition, we talked about it a little bit before, but just to remind the board that there is a policy decision coming up within the coming year regarding our own American Rescue Plan Act monies, both directly to the town of approximately $1.6 million and a little more than $2 million that we expect to receive through the county. And those monies, which may be spent on a variety of things until December 2024, will absolutely be eligible to defray the cost of this project. There's still a bit of an open question as to perhaps whether or not they might be able to use to defray a new DPW building, the cost of that. But absolutely, we know that they're definitely eligible to be used towards this. And if nothing else, the monies that would be able to be applied there from ARPA for this project, the sewer force main project, would free up other monies that would be available for the hoped-for passage and building of a new DPW building. So, great news on this project. The project's begun, as I'm sure folks have probably seen when they're driving on Auburn Street. There's a website that is being updated at least weekly with updates. And so, I think we're off to a great start. And certainly, again, I think this is, of all the good news we've gotten so far, the additional $1.9 million in loan forgiveness is a really huge coup for our ratepayers.
Great, thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
We needed a motion and a second and vote on the loan. Did we do that?
No, we didn't. We just signed it. Why don't you make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept our town treasurer's recommendation and go with the bonding. Is that what you call it?
It's a vote to approve the issuance and details.
Yeah.
May I suggest, I think bond counsel would be very happy, and perhaps it's not absolutely necessary, but I think bond counsel would be very happy if we used sort of this exact language. If I may, it's one sentence. Vote that the board vote to approve the issuance and details of note and bonds to be issued to the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust for loan number CWP-21-17 and sign related closing documents. And the full vote would be as detailed in your packet in the two-page document that's entitled Vote of the Board of Selectmen. But I don't think there's any necessity to read out that entire vote. But
No,
rather
I think
refer
that's
to it in
why
the
they
packet.
sent us that
Yeah,
shorter
exactly.
version.
Okay, I'll make that
should
motion,
suffice.
what you read.
I'll second that.
What he said? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mary Beth.
Thank you.
for working on that.
And I'll,
Yeah, excellent.
The next item of business is to act on license renewals for the following license holders for the period May 1st, 2022 through April 30th, 2023, subject to submission of renewal paperwork, renewal fees, and current tax status. And they are the fuel storage licenses for a number of businesses, junk collectors licenses, and junk dealers licenses. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Act on the request of Michael Ganchard on behalf of Whitman and Hanson Dollars for Scholars to declare April as Dollars for Scholars Month. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Good. Act on the request of Michael Ganchard on behalf of Whitman and Hanson Dollars for Scholars to erect a fundraising thermometer on the Town Hall lawn from April to the end of May. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Take action to reappoint Sarah Lansing to the position of Veterans Agent, Veterans Graves Officer, Veteran Services Director for a one-year term through April 30th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, she's doing a great job. She's
She is.
really good at it, yeah.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Act on the resignation of Adam Kosterman from the position of Auxiliary Special Police Officer effective March 28th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. It's exactly 6:15. So it's time to move into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A1, to discuss the physical condition or mental health rather than professional competence of the police department employees. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, votes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
we're in executive session. We're going to be doing 3 executive sessions.
Actually, I believe 6.
Actually, we're doing
6.
6 executive sessions, so we won't be back in open session for a little while. And if somebody doesn't really like that we're going into executive session, apparently. Okay, so we're in executive session.
He's gonna,
Thank you.
wait till he's out.
Are we good? All set.
Okay, we're back in open session. 2 items of old business. One, the town meeting warrant. What
Yes.
would you like to say about it?
So,
We all received a copy of it in its current state.
yeah, so I think, most importantly, if there's any questions about it, obviously, please ask. Just want to mention 4 things briefly. One, I wanted to, two things regarding the schools. One, I wanted to remind the board that the schools had requested an article for $54,002 for mold remediation. We had that discussion about how we here in Whitman don't view that as a capital expense. It is not on this town meeting warrant. I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that in case there's discussion about why isn't it on the town meeting warrant. The other item regarding the schools is that, 2 other brief items regarding the schools. One, there are 3 articles now regarding playgrounds at the schools. So it's now currently Articles 20, 21, and 22. It's a total of $700,000. The schools had requested that those all be in one article. My recommendation is that I think they're different things. There are 2 different playgrounds at Conley and another 3rd playground at Duval. 2 are entirely new playgrounds. 1 would be a retrofit. It's obviously up to the board whether or not you would want 3 articles or 1, but I just wanted to point out that they had requested 1, and it's currently on the warrant as 3. And the other piece of that, this was discussed in the Capital Committee when the schools were presenting their capital requests. There is a little more than $250,000, I think it's $252,000 remaining in the Duval School roof. I think we've talked about it a little bit before, but that the monies there are maybe needed for incidental, smaller repairs, perhaps $5,000, $10,000, maybe $15,000, but not for a larger replacement because the Massachusetts School Building Authority, through its accelerated roof repair program, would not have the town be eligible for at least a few more years. Got some information the other day from Superintendent Simonak about when that clawback period, so-called, would be up, but it would at least be several more fiscal years. So my recommendation, and again reflected in the warrant, is that rather than have that money sit there and not be put to good use, we, in the warrant, apply it, $235,000 of it, towards the same building, Duval School, for a playground that the schools are indicating is in dire need of replacement. There hasn't been any strong viewpoint from the schools. They're aware of that. We talked about it in the Capital Committee when they were presenting. There wasn't any objection to that from the superintendent. So that's on the warrant. I think the only other quick thing I wanted to mention, just in general, with 2 things briefly. One, as I think the board knows, tomorrow night the school committee's meeting again to discuss the budget. It's on their agenda. The non-mandated busing issue, you saw the town council's legal opinion regarding how to handle that and how it should be in an article as submitted to the town from the schools. We don't know if that may happen tomorrow night. We don't know what the schools may do regarding either the main operating assessment or the current non-mandated busing assessment that is on the warrant, since that is the number right now that is certified by the schools. But speaking with Chairman Kowalski, we're thinking about having a meeting on Friday morning to react to whatever action the school takes or not tomorrow night.
It makes sense for us to vote our final opinion on the warrant once we have that information from the school. So we'll have a meeting at 10 o'clock on Friday morning in this room. And at that point, we'll put our stamp on whatever shape the warrant is in. But it made sense to wait at least until we see if anything happens tomorrow night.
Just for, if the board hasn't caught up with it, so when non-mandated busing finally all shook out, there was a method that is now saving the towns of Whitman and Hanson considerable amounts of money, ups the state reimbursement that the schools can get. I think the town of Whitman saves from just the assessment alone about $271,000. Savings, yes. Total for the town of Whitman, Hanson, and the school, if the assessment changed, is about $583,000. To see the full benefit, we need to see an assessment change. And if they submit it and do not change the assessment, then we will be paying and they will be getting reimbursement. I will say that I feel that the right thing to do is them change and everyone see the benefit of this. And I will say that their chair, Mr. Howard, has done considerable work on this, and I absolutely do praise him for, working with myself and members of our community to make sure this thing really got pushed through and the savings was sought. So things are working in the right direction on that.
Okay, well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for tomorrow night. Okay,
I have a couple of questions.
Yep.
On the monies that were appropriated for the roof project that the schools have not spent, how long can they keep that money? And can they use it for what they want, or do they need the town's approval? Because it was appropriated for a certain specific task and they didn't do it. Should that money come back to the town after a certain time?
Yes. So the town accountant, Ken, and I have been pretty aggressively. We did it last year prior to the close of the fiscal year. Certainly intend to do it again, of working through with every department, looking at capital appropriations that are more than 2 years old and saying, what's going on with this? Is this project complete? Is it going to happen? If it's already happened, is this the remainder? Fine, great. We're going to take it back and get it back towards free cash so that it can be reappropriated somewhere else, or not, right? Or go towards capital stabilization, for example. And that's a activity that we have gone through with the schools and would continue to do so. It may only be used according to the town meeting vote back in, I believe it was December 2017, for the Duval School roof. So this would repurpose most of those funds, with the exception of about $17,000. If otherwise, it could only be used for the Duval School roof. To the new, well, not new anymore, but the business manager, John Stanbrook, to his credit, he's been responsive to this process. He recently agreed with us to close down a few even other older articles where there was remaining monies that they weren't going to be using. So we'll continue to go through that process with them of, if a project is complete, whatever remainder comes back to free cash. If a project is not going to happen after a few years, let's have the discussion about closing it down.
Yes, because I've known in the past where our town accountant, Claire, right, used to go through all the articles that were passed by town meeting, and if we appropriated 30,000 for a project and it come into 29,000, there's still $1,000 left in that, for that project, which was completed, she would go through, add up all the money, and we would have an article to close those accounts and put it into, goes to free cash?
It
or
could
stabilization?
go to free cash, or it could be reappropriated to somewhere else.
Right, exactly,
the
but you would do it that way. And also, for them wanting to use the money for, we'll say, for one of the schools' playgrounds. I talked to one of our DPW superintendents, Bruce, and asked him about our playground. The new playground that we put in from the old wooden one, it's about 20 years old now. On a regular basis, they use monies from the DPW, right? And they will repair and replace needed damage to the playground, because we have a lot of kids in the park, plus we have a lot of teenagers in the park, and they're a little heavier and rougher than the young kids, more so than would be at the Duval or the Conley Elementary School. That being said, why aren't the schools doing the same thing with their kids' playgrounds? Why aren't they on a regular basis repairing and getting something fixed for $500 instead of $5,000 when they let it go and they need to buy brand new? So that's my question. And that's probably what I'll raise at town meeting. I mean, they need to look at the equipment in each of the schools and maintain them, like we do at our town park.
And I agree with you. I don't have the answer to that, but
Yeah.
hopefully the schools do.
I can actually add a little bit to that. So in the capital committee meeting, we discussed that a lot because this is a lot of money for playgrounds. The Duval playground was put in 2000 when the Holt schools closed, and I was moved as a fourth
I heard,
grader to
I
Duval,
watched the
yeah.
meeting, I watched the meeting.
So that playground is 22 years old, and they have been maintaining, but a lot of the maintenance at this point is as something breaks, you take it out. So
Okay, because our playground, our kids' playground at the park is over 20 years old.
and I think last year we appropriated about $30,000 for repairs.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, over the years, right. So, I mean, and that gets used a lot more than with the schools, because it's open all year round and whatever. I don't know.
You made your point.
Yep, thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, just to digress back to the mold issue, is the capital committee taking this up?
So they
Thursday.
decided that it was not capital,
Okay,
and they didn't recommend it.
okay.
Yeah, they took no action on it because it's not a capital item.
So it did, all right, I thought the Express said it was getting taken up on the 14th. That was just,
Yeah, that was like timing on the Express. It already
The
happened.
fan,
okay.
Yeah, the mold issue is analogous to the issue that Dan's talking about. It's, all of a sudden, you're asked to spend $54,000 taking care of something that could have been handled perhaps by more diligent maintenance over the years. Although, the school also lives in a swamp, so it's not, mold is indigenous. Okay, anything else on the warrant? So we'll meet on Friday and hopefully finish it.
You do have one question on the warrant. So the non-mandated busing is in here twice currently. It's an item within Article 2 as well as Article 5. Is that waiting for the schools to decide how they're gonna?
Right, so town council's opinion is that the $487,000 that has been certified by the schools for the non-mandated busing must be included in the warrant. The Article 5 is a reflection of us in the town of Whitman attempting to follow what the process that's laid out in the regional agreement if the school committee has decided, as it has this year, to not, quote, pay for non-mandated busing, that it be in an article.
Okay.
It, just very briefly, I just want to mention regarding town meeting,
yeah.
this is brief, which is, I
we-
don't intend,
We know your definition of brief is.
no, this is one sentence. I just want to make sure that we're going to have plenty of masks. We'll have test kits there, but we're not intending any other COVID-19 protocols with, at town meetings. So if anyone on the board feels differently, please let me know and we'll
Carl will be
plan
sitting
around that.
outside in the breezeway there where the fence, where the door is.
I'm gonna file a harassment. When people have disabilities, you have to
Okay.
take care of them, not mock them. Dan. Okay, anything else? Okay, just one other thing. What I have here, and I'm going to give out, are the evaluation forms that
Oh, good.
we had approved to use for the town administrator. We'll give them out to you individually, personal touch. And the process is outlined on it. The town administrator agreed to this 18 months ago.
Did you spray it?
And what I'd like you to, what I'd like, what, each of you will fill it out. And if you can get it back to me by our meeting on the 26th, that gives you 2 weeks to do this. Then I will, and it's my job then to take all of your information and write a report that we will give to the town administrator at our May 10th meeting. I'm planning on doing it at the May 10th meeting. So I'll need it from you on the 26th, if I could. Also, what you have in your packet are the town administrator's goals and objectives, and you should be using that as part of your evaluation. You know, you don't have goals and objectives unless we're paying attention to them.
There you go, yeah.
So if you get them to me on the 26th, I'll have a report for you on May 10th. We'll have that on the agenda. And that will be that. If anyone has any questions, just give me a buzz at any time.
Can I just ask a quick thing regarding this? So I know we had talked about it being for the fiscal year. So is the
Well,
intention through June 30th, or?
It's through June 30th, but we're going to actually accomplish it before June 30th. But we've seen you for a year and a half anyway. So I think that the length of time makes sense. I thought it would make sense to have it done at this particular time, so it's this Board of Selectmen that is doing the evaluation, not a potentially new board, which will take effect on the 21st. So that's why. Does that make sense to you all?
Yep.
Does it make sense to you? Okay.
And I think the only other thing I would mention, I think, so as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, the performance review instrument itself, absolutely, we talked about that, and I agree to it. I think it's great. I think the only thing I'd mention is the last document in your packet, the email from myself on September 24th to the board is the set of goals that we then mutually agreed to
Right.
at the next meeting. So
Some of them were short-term and some of them were long-term.
yeah, and so all I would mention is that the form, as it was put together, has some goals that we were looking at as longer term. That's all.
Right,
That's all I'd
exactly.
say. That is to
Right.
say fiscal year 23, 24, and 25,
Right.
and going forward. So I just wanted to mention that there are some items on this form that were not in the set goals for fiscal 22. That's all.
Okay, so pay attention, folks, when you do it.
It's not anonymous?
What? No, it's not. Well, actually,
No, and the
no,
last
it's not
page
anonymous.
is Stockman's name.
Joking.
And you're to do it yourselves. Not have somebody else write them for you. And I'll try to do my job by myself, too. Hey, I think we've exhausted the agenda. Does anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, we're out.